All right, welcome back, Sports Ranter Nation. Thank you to our hosts, Jake, Nico, and Drew. We are your favorite fantasy football hooligans around the world, all right? And speaking of the world, we want to say thank you. We want to say thank you, give a quick thank you, and shout out to all of our current viewers and subscribers. The Sports Rancher has hit 10,000 subscribers. It's a good feeling. We're growing fast, and we're not going anywhere, you guys, because we love doing this. All right. So, but wow, what a loaded week! What a loaded week! I'm glad that we're all here because we can discuss the headlines of what happened earlier today. Right, Nick? We got a Devonte Adams trade to the Jets, and that's relevant to me because I got Devonte Adams. And he's going to be with Aaron Rodgers again, and I'm dancing inside if you can't tell. Jacob, we got Amari Cooper coming to the Buffalo Bills. I
Not
think
somebody.
Amari Cooper is still a good receiver. So we're going to see some things. And Drew, I don't know what's going on. I don't know what's going on with the Niners. Okay, but I'm just joking. Brock Purdy helped me get some good wins this week. I am falling in love with Brock Purdy. Can you guys hear me?
Oh
Yeah,
yeah.
no, you're good.
Oh,
You're good.
there's Andrew. Andrew said something I couldn't hear him. So
No, just I got Brock Purdy helping me get some wins this week. So congratulations to you. I'm losing the hate for Brock Purdy. So, anyways, Nico, if you could start us off, man, let's just talk about it. Devonte Adams, he gets a third round pick, conditional third round. I thought he was going to contender. That was my bet. He's got to be that guy to want to go to a contender. Are the Jets a contender? What's going on?
Um, it depends what you mean by contender. Can they make the back end of the playoffs? Sure. They still have a chance. The AFC and the wild card is pretty weak. You got the Colts right there, the Steelers, you got the Chargers, in those wild card positions now. Neither one of us, or I don't think anybody says, oh, those are really strong, solid teams. The Chargers can do a Charger and fall apart. The Steelers, it reminds me of that year they went 11-1 and they were the worst 11-1 year team. I still think they're not a very good 4-2 team. And the Colts back and forth with Flacco and Anthony Richards. So mathematically and talent wise, sure, they're still in it as far as contender. Are they going to win the Super Bowl? No, no interim head coach has even made the playoffs, other than Rich Bashashia for the Raiders. So I don't, I'm just gonna play the odds here and say no, they're not true contenders. But I already kind of ranted last week about Devontae. I just want to say, like, as far as the trade, honestly, as a Raider fan and trying to be unbiased, I think it was a pretty good win-win. Um, Obviously, the Jets need to do something. They need to win now. Aaron Rodgers is getting older. And like I said last week, Devontae's selfish. He just wants to go play with his buddies. It's not about rings, and this proves it to me. Because if he really thinks he's going to another 2-4 team that just fired their coach, that doesn't spell I'm chasing a ring, right? I'm gonna go to a team who's about to win a ring. Like it's not about that. He wants to be somewhere where he's with his buddy who's gonna throw him 150 targets and he's gonna get 1,500 yards and 12 touchdowns, and so he can be an all pro. That's what he wants. And that's where it could happen. So good for him. The Jets can obviously use him. And for the Raiders, like I said, they were asking for a second and no salary. They pretty much almost got that. It's a third, and they don't pay any of Devontae's, so we have no dead money. We only have like 7 million in dead money with other players next year. So our salary cap issue is fantastic moving forward. We get off his loaded contract, and we could possibly still get that second round pick. Now, which is good, and I like the conditions. So let's just say the Jets do make a run for it. So there's two conditions to it. If the Jets make an AFC title game, or the Super Bowl obviously becomes a second. So that means that pick becomes a late pick, right? Because if they're in the NFC Championship game, it's a later pick, so it jumps up to the second instead of being a late third round pick. We get a late second, which is good. And then if Devontae becomes an All Pro, that could still be the Jets could be middle of the pack and he's an All Pro, and we get a second round pick in the middle of that. So I think it's a win-win, and I don't want anybody on the Raiders who don't want to be there. I don't want a selfish player on the Raiders. It's not what we need. It's not what's going to create that winning culture. So it is what it is, and I think it's good for both sides.
Drew, I'm gonna pass the fantasy perspective to you in a second, but Jacob, the Bills acquired Amari Cooper after their departure of Stephon Diggs. You guys have been fine, I think, so far this year, but I think that's a significant move. What do you think?
I couldn't have been happier. You know, what the Bills were thinking going into this season. Actually, like I was listening to a few shows today and all that. Like, I think the plan Buffalo had going is to be this power run team with Knox and Kincaid. You know, kind of like playing a Kelsey role. And Kincaid, that's what he was drafted for. He was great out of college as his pass catcher, and it just hasn't really materialized into that. Beyond that, you can't have an NFL caliber passing game when your receivers are, you know, Shakir and Mac Hollins. Like there's no downfield threat. It's clear watching the games. There's no separation. I don't know if it's a creativity thing in the offense or it's just lack of talent at the receiver position. But Amari Cooper, for what we have now, what the Bills have, is miles above and beyond, you know, better than what's been on the field. So we'll wait to see. Like, you know, people can have this stigma of Amari Cooper, you know, based on, you know, play with the Browns, but it's the same thing as Devontae with the Raiders. Like, you're kind of in the veteran part of your career, and you see the quarterbacks throwing the ball to you, and just there's we all know there's no hope. Like, I don't expect just because they're a pro football player on this team to have this unrealistic expectation. We all see it. Like, they're not going anywhere. Now you're on a team that has this potential, and you have a quarterback that can throw the ball downfield. It's like that rejuvenates, brings new life to guys like Cooper, guys like Devontae Adams. So yeah, I'm totally excited for it. You know, we'll see. The Bills are definitely, you know, to me, they're nowhere near like a Super Bowl favorite. They'll probably make the playoffs in one form or another. But yeah, I'm happy. Why wouldn't I be? It's a good addition to a receiving core that's awful. You know, and going back to like the Devontae Adams things, I think this does put the Jets up definitely in the playoff talk. Not on the same caliber as Baltimore, Kansas City, some of these teams, but you know, looking at the AFC East, you know, the Dolphins are garbage until Tua gets back, if he gets back, and you know, the Jets barely lost last night to Buffalo, so I do think that Devontae Adams is going to add, you know, with the rapport with Rodgers, I think it's going to add to that passing game. Why they couldn't figure it out with having Breece Hall and Garrett Wilson, it's not like they had a bad offense, you know, already. It's just there just wasn't chemistry, and it's sometimes as a fan, it's tough to tell if that's coaching, if that's scheme. It's tough to tell, but I think for both Devontae and Aaron Rodgers, them being back together with the rapport they have doesn't hurt anything. So
I think it's a fantastic point. Now, Drew, I don't know how long we've been talking as NFL fans of the New York Jets being in shambles. Okay, but what does this move do fantasy-wise? Jake just mentioned it. Breece Hall, Garrett Wilson. We got Alan Lazard, who came off a great waiver wire pick. We got some things happening there. So with adding Devontae Adams, what does it do? What does it do for the fantasy perspective for everybody who has these Jets?
Well, I mean, the Jets' offense looked a little bit more alive last night to begin with. They got a new play caller there now. It's no longer Nathaniel Hackett. It's somebody else. I can't think of the name. But Breece Hall came to life. I had like almost 160 yards of total yards. Garrett Wilson was more involved. He was getting more targets. And, I mean, to put it in perspective of how I think Devontae Adams is going to go in there and play is look how many yards and stats Alan Lazard's putting up. Like, Alan Lazard, people write him off the wall. Like, he was nobody. He goes and plays with Aaron Rodgers and goes to the Jets. And this guy's like, I don't know. I'm assuming he's at least a top 15 receiver right now, and fantasy-wise. He might even be top 10. Like, the guy is putting up unbelievable stats. Every game he's getting pretty much a touchdown. And that's with a somewhat decent caliber receiver in Alan Lazard. Like Devontae is gonna get his balls. Like he's going to. Now the person that I think is going to be affected the most is going to be Garrett Wilson. Is Garrett Wilson gonna? How is he gonna adapt? Obviously, he's probably not gonna get as many targets. But he's also gonna be going against number 2 corners now. He's not gonna be going against that elite option. So can Garrett Wilson get a little more open? Can he get a little more free? Maybe, because the talent around him that's guarding him isn't as good. It's just if he can make big boom plays with the targets that he's going to get. He's going to get less targets for sure.
Alan Lazard's 11th ranked on the year. 11th ranked receiver, Alan Lazard.
Like, it's unreal stats that he's putting up right now. And, I mean, I assume that Devontae is just going to come in there right away, and the chemistry and everything else that he has with Rodgers, it's just going to be, it's going to be fluid. Like, Devontae is going to be a monster for fantasy. But yes. I'm excited, dude. We have a lot of receivers coming back or going on new teams. So now you have Cooper Kupp coming back. Well, they should be coming back. Obviously, you got Amari Cooper going there with the Buffalo. Like, this is a pretty fun week, entertaining week, because I think a lot of people are kind of just licking their chops to see their new tool come out. You know, like Devontae with Aaron Rodgers, Cooper.
It feels very early in the year. It feels very early in the year. For trades already. Normally we get these trades like closer to the trade deadline, which is November, I think. And it seems like it's starting a little earlier this year, which for the fantasy world, like, that is exciting. I wouldn't, sitting on Devontae Adams, till November. I mean, that sucks, But now it's like that's a whole that changes the ball game if you're a Devontae owner. So
yeah, and I would like to say where it's gonna impact, and good for you, Ben. Is in the red zone. That's where Devontae makes his money. That's where the Jets have been struggling. So you could talk about Lazard and Garrett Wilson on that. Well, one, they're dropping balls, but two, they're just obviously having red zone issues. So Devontae will definitely give him a lift there. Even with the Raiders, we'd get down to 2-3 yard line, short passes Devontae. He's going to beat his man one-on-one every time. Even if it's tight coverage, he finds a way to catch it. He's going to get a touchdown. But and I like the Amari Cooper too. I think, like Jake said, like, he was disinterested. Why wouldn't you be in with the Browns? And he's always dropped balls, so that doesn't. He's gonna drop some balls with Josh Allen too. But the difference with those caliber receivers, it's not always like taking the top off the ball, off the defense. It's being able to take a 5-yard pass, make it a 20. Being able to, you're one-on-one, you just beat your man right off, you leave him on skates and you catch a 5-yard pass and you make it 15 because you juked him all the good receivers do that. Justin Jefferson, Jamar Chase, Devontae Adams, they're not all the fastest guy, not all nothing, but they set you up so well at the line that they catch a 6-yard slant and it's 15, 20 or even more because they're so good at it. So that's where Amari Cooper can help the Bills offense the most, is the yak yards. It doesn't have to be a 50-yard bomb by Josh Allen. It's just, hey, give him a slant and he takes it for 15, 20. That's explosive for your offense. That moves the chains. That's just one other element you have to, defend against, and it's going to be good overall, I think.
Well, I'll tell you what, Nick. Thank you for the recognition with Devontae Adams. He is sitting there because I'm going to need it. You know why? Because you have 4 of the top 8 scoring leaders in our league. And it's really, really starting to itch at me, right? I mean, obviously, I know Baker Mayfield was a waiver wire pick. He's a quarterback, but it doesn't matter. He's putting the points up. But one of my favorite pick that I'm really kind of hurting on is Chris Godwin. Chris Godwin is just...
Every league I'm in, dude, the Chris Godwin owner is killing it, man.
Chris Godwin is just, obviously, he was... You knew your strategy, right? And that's what I like about what happened is you honed in, you hit with your first 2. I know Jonathan Taylor is still skeptical, but you hit late with your receivers. You went faith with the strategy, and you proved to us that there's still value late in receiver. And I love it. And like I said, it's going to be hard to beat. You put up 180 again, right? 180. And so I'm done tooting your horn. But here's the standings, folks, okay? Nick was in last place after week 1. And now he's number 1 in points for in first place, okay? But the rest of us are hanging in there. We got Drew right here, 3rd place, top of his division, okay? I just beat Mike, right? But it's okay. I'm in 5th place, and I know Jake, I know you have enough experience, and I know you make remarks about how you think your season is done, but you've said that in the past, and that hasn't been true. So I'm excited to see what you can do to help turn this thing around. But yeah, Nick,
Ain't much.
Nick, what are you gonna? What are we gonna? What are you gonna do?
I'm gonna keep saying depth, man. Like I don't know, I draft for depth, and so far again a little bit of luck. I'm not just gonna say it to my horn. You gotta fantasy has a little bit of luck, but that's where depth takes some of the luck out of it, right? When you reach or you go for upside and all this stuff, you're hoping on that luck a little more if you just get depth. So obviously I went running back heavy. Everybody already knows, but like you know obviously where you are in the draft matters. Would I have done that if I was drafting 7th? No. So drafting last, gave me that opportunity. So again, a little bit of luck. I'm not going to shy away from that part, but receivers always deeper, and I was able to get DJ Moore, Terry McLaurin, and Chris Godwin. So they've all panned out, so to speak, and as long as the running backs keep doing what they're doing, I'm happy. Oh, and then I got Brock Bowers late. So another late round pick. Again, last year we kind of mentioned some of my late round picks carried me through the season. So it looks like Brock Bowers could be one of those, along with Chris Godwin and McLaurin. So it's not about those first 3 rounds. They matter, but you need to hit late with depth. We've always stressed depth on this because you're not going to hit on everybody. I drafted Cortland Sutton for depth. He's okay. He's not winning me my league or nothing. But, it's just, but he doesn't hurt me because I drafted depth in other ways. I didn't just, Cortland Sutton's my guy. I'm going to ride with him. He's going to be it. And then you draft other guys and he ends up killing you. So again, not the injury bug either. Jonathan Taylor has hurt, but again, with my depth, I lost he was my second round pick. I still got most points. You see what I mean? People are like, "Oh, well, I got hurt with injuries." Like, yeah, you might have, but you didn't draft accordingly the rest of the draft. I lost my second round pick too. I lost both my quarterbacks I drafted aren't even on my team, right? So it's not always, you gotta hit that.
Nick, you drafted 12th, right? You drafted 12th, Nick.
I was last pick,
and I think sometimes too, and that means Derrick Henry was, at the end of the first round. And it's like, I think sometimes people overthink too much. Well, but this is a PPR. Derrick Henry doesn't catch the ball. And I think sometimes, like going in with this, closed book mindset, I don't know. Derrick Henry in any format has been a monster this year. And you were willing to kind of take that gamble in a full point PPR. In a standard league, in my league, he was picked 4th or 5th. But some would consider in a PPR league, a full point PPR, Derrick Henry at 12 being a stretch, kind of reaching. But look at where the guy's at. I'm sure he's 1 or 2. It doesn't matter with that. So sometimes I think, you got to depth later on. Obviously, you got to take that gamble. But sometimes, too, you got to gamble on just the guys you believe in, And Derrick Henry doesn't fit that mold of that PPR running back. But look at him.
My simple analysis was I really thought he could get 20 touchdowns, and not by a stretch, in Baltimore's offense. So the PPR goes out. The PPR goes out the window if he's going to get 20 touches. Now I could have been completely wrong. He's on pace for 30, so it looks like I'm going to be right. But that's why I drafted him there. Yeah. I know Lamar. I know that offense. They're the number 1 rushing league for 80 straight years. I'm like, I don't need to worry about him catching the ball. If he gets 15, 20 touches, who cares if he has 20 receptions? It doesn't matter. Touchdowns overrule everything. So that was my one analysis with him. I wasn't worried about him turning 30, no injury bug, none of that. That's luck. If he got hurt and whatever, cool. It is what it is. But the analysis was he can literally get 20 touchdowns. I have to take him.
Right.
Drew, you're in 3rd place. All of us kind of skipped on Malik Neighbors. He's kind of helping you hang in there. What do you think, though, is keeping you up, and about what you did on draft day or what you're doing to kind of keep it towards the top?
I think a lot of it was. I mean, I came out on a hot start, right? So Malik Neighbors definitely did give me a hot start. Cooper Kupp was a hot start, and I've been without both those guys for the last 2 weeks, and I'm losing the last 2 weeks. So, yeah, no, I definitely can use both those guys back. Malik Neighbors, when he was out, or before he was out, he was the number 2 receiver. The dude just gets instant targets. But looking at my team, it's one of those things where every week you just kind of. I mean, let me pull up my squad here.
Kittle was someone.
Kittle, yeah, number 1 tight end. You know, I mean,
number 1 tight end, got him a lot later than all the other guys. That was a good pick.
Yep.
But
then
honestly, though,
Mason.
Yeah. Brian Robinson has been really a solid touchdown kind of guy early. Obviously, yeah, in every single league I have Jordan Mason in there because I'm a Niners fan and I was a little concerned with Chris McCaffrey with that calf. And so I was lucky enough to squeeze him, like, I don't know, probably the 13th round or whatever it was. Yeah, he's been awesome. So, I mean, obviously Mike Evans is a touchdown machine. That's who he is. Yeah, the only thing I'm not really getting consistency on is quarterback, and it sucks because I took quarterback pretty early this year, and if Kyler or Jordan Love can ever just give me a solid 25 points, I should be winning like almost every week. Like Kyler's give me 4 weeks now of less than 15 points. It's mind-boggling. So, but then again, like you look at this year and. If a quarterback throws for 250 yards, you're like, oh, holy shit. Like, he went off. Like, it's insane. Like, it's...
Yeah.
I don't know. It's so weird as far as, like, this passing right now in the NFL. Like, there are stud receivers, and pretty much nobody else is getting the ball. Like, if you're not a number 1 target on your team, like, it's so hard to count on somebody, like a number 2 option on week-in, week-out basis. Like, nobody counts on T. Higgins. Like, nobody counts on Jalen Waddle. Jalen Waddle is forgot about. Obviously, yeah, Tua went down, this, that, and the other. But, like, you look at good number 2 receivers, dude, name me one. Like, name me a good solid number 2. Like, there's nobody, bro.
Alan Lazard.
Yeah, Alan Lazard. That's it. That's literally, like, the only one I can think of, dude. Like, I really don't. Like, Jameson Williams has had games.
But definitely not Brandon Ayuk.
Yes. No, Brandon Ayuk's, yeah, he has had one good game, and it's weird. Jameson Williams, he has a couple games, but it's a home run play. Like, there's no consistency in these number 2 receivers. So the lack of passing it's just so weird this year.
It's good. It's good for football. It was getting ridiculous. They brought it back. They're not calling as many PIs anymore. They're not calling as many holding penalties anymore. They're like, hey, we've been helping these offenses way too much. We're not even going to have a 5,000-yard passer. The only one on pace is Geno Smith. But, yeah, that's why it's not even that they're not any good receivers out there. It's just they're letting them play a little bit more because we were having 10 5,000-yard passers every year. And so everybody got spoiled with you could have 3 receivers on one team, that was fantasy viable, and it's just not the case anymore.
Yeah.
So, Jake, I know you mentioned earlier, obviously your team kind of sucks when your late good picks kind of get hurt, when your early picks haven't come through as it is. Okay, so I know you're feeling down about your team, but I got faith in you. But I wanted to ask you a question. What if for those fantasy owners that are out there, for guys like Alex Rivera, who is number 3 in points for, but is 1-5.
Is this Nick's league or is this my
This
league?
is your league, Alex
Okay.
Rivera. But obviously, he's number 3 in points for, 1-5. You're similar situation where nothing's really working your way. You got injuries not working your way. You're always going against the good guy. What do you do if you're that guy? You're that discouraged guy right now.
Well, you got to.
Sorry to ask you that.
You got to first take a look at why you're like the 3rd highest point scored. Did a few guys have a monster week?
Just took his goal. I just took his soul this week.
But yeah, right. But like, you know, are you losing to high score every week, or did you have one or two monster weeks and then you're like flatlining the rest of the time? So, but if you're losing, if you're legitimately losing to the guy that is in the top three, you know, one of the guys that's in the top three highest score every week, I say you ride it out, because I mean, honestly, fantasy football is not a guarantee. You play the odds. If you're the third highest scorer in the league, it will turn tides, and I've seen it happen. We've all seen it happen, you know. But if you're one of those where it's like, God, I'm the third highest scorer of the week, or you know, in the league, but I mean, what are we through? We just finished week 6, right, or week 5?
6.
Week 6.
We just finished week 6. So I mean, if you had 2 weeks where you blew up and scored 200 points, and then you had like a mediocre week, then you had 3 weeks where you flatlined or something like that, you're the third highest scorer, but you're not really like the third highest scorer. So depending on why, I mean, ride it out and you know, start thinking about trades and things like that. Like these bye weeks and injuries keep piling up. You know, see where you have depth, see where you can make a move. You know, that's all there is to it. You know, like you know, in Nick's league, like you know, just looking at my situation, sometimes situations are just different. Like I don't have a move to make right now. Like it just, you know, so
nobody wants any of the 3 tight ends that I got apparently. So I'll just sit on Bowers, Ingram, and Likely. I've tried to trade them all, and well, not Bowers, but
well, yeah. I mean, Ingram has the market for it, but I mean, like, you know, are you going to take, you know, like I'm looking at my lineup right now. Like, I'm not giving you Amon-Ra. I'm not giving you Debo. Probably, you know, not going to give you, you know, Devon Achane, because what's it worth? Like, are you going to take are you going to take a Ramondre Stevenson for Evan Ingram? No. What has he done? No. Are you going to take, you know, a Jerome Ford? No. Like, you know,
I'll take Jerome Ford for Likely.
Hey. Jake,
I dropped Likely in my league. I was all ranting about him. I dropped his ass.
Do you want
the tight end 6? I dropped.
Go ahead, Drew.
Mason for Achane?
Jordan Mason for Achane.
Wow.
You know what? I would probably take that from you.
Wow.
I'm not even joking, because I've lost 3
live
in a row.
trade, fellas. We got a live trade going on.
Let me read up to make sure I'm not missing anything on McCaffrey, but Drew, I would at this point, like probably take that, because dude, I'm dying.
I heard week 12 is the earliest he's going to come back, Jake.
And I still think Mason's going to be relevant at this point. Like, you know, I don't know if
that's a very interesting trade, guys. That's the trade.
Wow.
Well, Drew, where are you? What's your record? 4-2?
It scares me.
Huh?
He has a sprained AC joint.
Oh, yeah. Who does? Mason?
Jordan Mason.
On the shoulder.
Yeah.
He tried to come back in for one play, got back out, but he did. We had to, honestly, Jake, to be fair, I'd probably wait to see if he plays this week or if he's going to play.
Well, and Achane's got an injury too. He had the concussion, but you know, like, I mean, Drew's gambling on Tua, really, like, because I think if Tua doesn't come back, they can't throw the ball, so they have to run. And Achane has not been the guy that is going to run the ball 20 times. They're going to have to use Mostert and Wright. So this is like the decisions, you know, where you're at that point. Yeah, I'd probably take the gamble at that point. Drew might be in a position where he has depth or he has a winning record to where he could afford to wait for Tua to come back. Me, I'm not in that point. If I don't make a move now, I'm probably going to end up missing out on the playoffs again in next week.
And I'm glad you brought that up, because that's exactly what you're supposed to do. Everything is situational. You don't know what situation you may be in. You can't afford to lose one game. You can't afford to wait. Where some guys can afford to wait, some guys can't afford to sell themselves on taking a 0. It's just who knows what situation that you're in, right? You know, it's just crazy. So, yeah, a lot of interesting things, but we want to get to the, you know, I know it's still dry. It kind of gets drier and drier every week. But we want to hit the waiver wire, Drew, right? Pick them up, you know. So who's out there? We can all kind of fill in a little bit who we're thinking.
I got some.
spend some money on, who's out there, who should the people who are needing to get wins and scratch for wins. Is this the week to make a buy or to do something to get to the top and get certain guys? What are we gonna do?
This one's tough, man, because the only reason why I hate doing this sometimes on this show is because there's people that I really want.
Right.
I don't want you guys to know.
Yes.
It's really tough. Like there's like somebody I'm like, man, I just want to keep going underneath my tongue for a little bit.
Well, just state the obvious. Yeah, it's okay.
Isaac Guerrero, obviously from 49ers. If Jordan Mason don't go, Isaac Guerrero, dude, it's a plug and play. Any running back that's gonna play for the 49ers, it's a plug and play. I mean, those guys, I don't know what, like, they just breed running backs over there. Shout out to Bobby Turner, running backs coach for the Niners. That guy is, I don't know, it's amazing. But yeah, Isaac Guerrero's legit. The one I don't want to say, but I'll say it, is Ty Chandler. If Aaron Jones, they just made a trade with Cam Akers. The Texans and the Vikings did. Cam Akers played in that system last year in the Vikings with Kevin O'Connell. They bring him back, and I know last year was a standing joke with Cam Akers because I picked him, and then Nick picked
Kyron
Williams, and we were going back and forth, and it was good for the show, but sucked for my actual fantasy team. But Cam Akers is back there. He's a familiar person. It makes me think that Aaron Jones is actually hurt. So is Ty Chandler going to be a good running back for maybe a week or two? Could be. So he's somebody I like. Receiver-wise, it's kind of like a Chiefs thing, but Juju, if he didn't get picked up last week, I know the Chiefs want to buy, so maybe somebody didn't want to pick up Juju. Dude, he had like nine targets or whatever it was. He had a bunch of catches. Mahomes just kind of goes to whoever. If you're open, you're going to get the ball. So Juju might be somebody you want to look at. Let me see here really quick. If there's anybody else I can really think of, but I don't know who I can really think of. If Rodgers is available, if Aaron Rodgers is available in some of your leagues, we were just talking the whole time. We were talking about the whole time with Devontae and this, that, and the other, and he's throwing over 250 yards. Yeah, I mean, that's somebody I would want.
It.
Yeah.
I like it. You look like. I'm sorry, Drew. What?
No, go ahead. That's the only thing I can think of. Other than that,
you look like you're itching, Jake. What do you got?
So I got a few. If you need a quarterback this week, Daniel Jones is playing Philly. Philly's 29th ranked defense. He should be able to get you enough rush yards, and throw the ball, and especially with Malik coming back. So that's a good streamer. If Flacco gets the start, if they decide to keep, Anthony Richardson out playing Miami, that offense is terrible. So Flacco and the Colts offense should be on the field a lot. All these guys I took from our actual league, 12-man league with all competent guys. So, it's not like these players aren't out there. They're actually out there. The one I'm going to say stay away from, had a big game this week, is Caleb Williams. Obviously, you're not picking him up for a spot start this week because they got to bye. But he comes back and then plays Washington. Washington's been great, especially the pass rush. He's got a good game against Arizona the next week. But then he goes New England, Packers, and then Minnesota. So there's going to be a lot of people that get back on that Caleb Williams train and go for him. And, even though he's got the bye week, if they have a place that they want to stash, but his schedule coming up is not going to be ideal. He's going to play some pretty good defenses. For running backs, Ray Davis looked great last night, and with foot injuries with running backs, with James Cook, it looks like they put a lot of trust in Ray Davis, and Cook, even if he's playing, it might be limited with foot injuries. You never know how that's going to go. The receiver that I'm most excited about, and I'm going to say it because I care about our viewers and not my fan or my waiver wire luck, Demario Douglas for the Patriots. So Drake May comes in first game, lights it up, throws 3 touchdowns, targeted Demario Douglas 9 times. He also got 9 targets last week with Jacoby Brissett. So I like Demario Douglas this week, and then that would be the guy that I would probably target. First and foremost is Demario Douglas. The one that everybody got high up on and then dropped is Carson Steele. So They went out and signed Kareem Hunt, and Kareem Hunt had all these carries and this and that. I do believe, though, that the Chiefs fed him the ball. You just being a veteran guy, needing to get a win, knowing that they were going into the bye week. Kareem Hunt's not going to get all those touches every single week. Like, it's just not going to happen. He's older now. We haven't seen him take on that kind of workload in the last few years. I really think that it was just because they had a bye week coming up. Carson Steele, I think if you have a spot where you maybe could stash him for a week or two, will, I think, integrate himself back into that offense and end up being a guy that gets maybe 8, 10, 12 touches a game.
Excellent.
I just got one guy to add. You know, Michael Wilson on Arizona. You know, he got a touchdown last week. He's got 2 touchdowns. If Marvin Harrison's out and you're hurting, or you got people hurt, or a lot of people on buys, you know, you could pick him up and spot start him this week. If Marvin Harrison's out, you know, he's gonna get, you know, hopefully 6 to 10 targets. You know, they gotta throw the ball to somebody there, so you know he's in there every week. He hasn't had too big of games, but you know, again, Marvin Harrison now, I would look to Michael Wilson as well.
There's one more. The Saints situation going on with the QB. Tyreek Hill, he's like a cheat code. Or I'm sorry, not Tyreek Hill. Taysom Hill. Taysom Hill is like a cheat code. He ends up getting running back snaps, quarterback snaps, that Swiss Army knife kind of guy. Tight end's a terrible position. So, I mean, if you have one of those guys, like if you don't have Kittle, Evan Ingram, Brock Bowers, you know, Mark Andrews is finally coming back to life. So, you know, thankfully. But other than those, like, few, maybe 5 to 6 tight ends, I mean, Taysom Hill is a great streaming option because he gets all that weird work that Dennis Allen loves to give him.
Fantastic. Well, there you have it, SportsRanter Nation. We got you updated on our league, and also, oh snap, I don't know what happened. Also, like I said, got the latest information for the waiver wire, okay, and get you started for your lineup. But I want to ask you guys real quick. I'm going to bring this up as well. There's some funny business going on. I was noticing, looking at the standings or the playoff picture for the NFL. Okay, can you guys see this?
Yep.
Yeah.
100%. Okay, so we got 2 undefeated teams out there. All right, one is the Chiefs in the AFC. In the NFC, it's the Vikings. Okay, and coincidentally, they're both on a bye week. Okay, in week 6, they're both undefeated. They're both on a bye week, and coincidentally, the week after, they're both playing a rival. The Chiefs are playing the Niners, Super Bowl rival. Okay, and the Vikings, I think, are playing the Detroit Lions, which not only are the best 2 teams in the division, maybe the best 2 teams in the conference, some of the best 2 teams in the league. Okay, so when I look at that, I kind of feel like I'm watching an old school WWE, WWF tag team battle. It seems something funny going on about that. I don't know. But Chiefs versus Niners, Drew. Super Bowl rematch. Are we going to see some funny stuff? Are the Niners going to be able to come through? I think the Niners are a better team. I don't really think the Chiefs are playing good football. But are they going to win the game?
I mean, if there's one guy that just takes us by the throat, it's Mahomes. You know, the biggest thing, dude, is turnovers. Every single time we played against Patrick Mahomes, we've had a turnover. Super Bowl games, this, that, and the other. If we can limit a turnover and limit the turnover battle, I think we win that game. Our defense is playing pretty damn good right now. After last week, you know I've been saying that's kind of like it's a hit or miss every time. Like Bosa's getting home, D-line's not getting much of a push other than Bosa. Fred Warner, arguably, can be defensive player of the year right now. He's an absolute stud. But you know, our back end, we've been dude, we're starting 2 rookies on our back end. You know, Hufanga just went back on the IR. He came back for a game, back on the IR. So it's tough. If we can't get home, as far as like defense line push, Mahomes is gonna make you pay, dude. You know, so just run a turnover battle and try to get Mahomes a little rattled. But it's always scary, bro. I hate Mahomes. You know, it's tough. It's absolutely tough.
The thing that sucks and what history repeating itself, it was the same thing with New England. Okay, when you have a quarterback of that caliber and they have a good defense, like they're just always in it. They're gonna win. Like you said, they're not playing good football. It's because you're only watching. We only really watch offensively a lot, right? You're like Mahomes is all right and this and that, but when your defense gets takeaways, like Andrew says, or just keeps you in the game, these quarterbacks, Tom Brady did it forever, right? He got to ride on the coattails of Bill Belichick's defense. Still the greatest of all time. I'm just saying, it's just that much easier when you're just in it, you're in it, you're in it, you're in it, and then you finally just make that play that we all know you're going to make, and you win the game. It's just annoying. It's annoying, you know. It's frustrating, and so it's going to be a great game. I can't wait to watch it, but
Yes.
it doesn't matter anything right now. I don't want to win the Super Bowl again. So,
like the Chiefs' defensive coordinator Steve Spagnuolo does not get enough credit, bro. Everybody talks about Mahomes and Andy Reid and this, that, and the other, but dude, Steve Spagnuolo, he writes up some crazy defensive blitzes from everywhere, you know. And as good as I think Brock Purdy is and how he has been this year, would it surprise me if he threw a turnover? No. Like Steve Spagnuolo, and I mean, the good thing about our team is we have all the weapons. So their bracket style defense that they play, yeah, you might take away somebody, but you know, we have other weapons where we can get people involved. The other one I'm concerned about is Jordan Mason. Is he going to play? Is he not going to play? You know, that's another thing. But dude, the Vikings game's going to be good too. I mean, it sucks, bro. I mean, everybody saw the Aiden Hutchinson injury. I mean, if you haven't, go watch it. It's disgusting. His leg literally, it's like UFC. It was like Anderson Silva 2.0. Like it just cracked in half. It was gross. So I'm actually really curious on how the Lions defense wise, if they can still hang, because Aiden Hutchinson is a monster, bro. He's leading the league in sacks.
There's rumors of Max Crosby going to Detroit to join Campbell. I mean, the Raiders are already dumping their stars anyways, trying to gain some cap space anyways. Well, there you have it, folks. Another loaded week. We're excited. Obviously, good luck to you in acquiring your players for this week and trying to gather another win for Week 7. And so with that said, I want to say thank you to our hosts, Jake, Neek, and Drew, for joining us again here at the Sports Ranter. We're again live. Thank you, Jesus. Thank you, Seth, for commenting today and joining us as well.
Chuba Hubbard's the fantasy MVP. We didn't get to that.
Yes, he is. I don't want to toot my own horn. We'll get there. Almost 4 straight 100-yard games.
10th round, running back 5 on the season so far.
Excellent. Here we go. So thank you for that recognition, Jake. But we will be back live next week, 6 p.m., right here for your favorite fantasy football hooligans. With that being said, peace be the journey.
Peace.
And one love.
You were lucky you didn't give me the horn on that Chiefs 49ers. I was ready to blow a gasket.
I'm sorry. I know.
Fuck the Chiefs, man. Like the